Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Sasha Schreiber of NANOS.AI. Sasha, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on as well. And before I jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Sasha so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And a founder and CEO of a machine learning startup, NANOS.AI, with 10 plus computer scientists who turned the process of creating and placing online advertisements into a simple, automated, and transparent action. A former Walt Disney Imagineering cast member, founded and developed an innovation group within Disney Research in a collaboration with the Computer Graphics Laboratory at the Federal Institute of Technology. She also has a background in math and finance and law, and with 20 plus patents in multimedia, previsualization, machine learning, and online marketing technologies, and publications at ACM IUI, IEEE InfoVis, IAAI, ICIDS as well. Sasha, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome,
That sounds like a lot I've done already.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of things. I can't even say it, but you've accomplished so much. So I guess I wanted to kind of kick everything off by hearing a little bit more how you got started. Could you take us through what I call your CEO story? We'll let you get started with your business.
Absolutely. So I came up with the idea of Nanos many years back when there was no such thing as machine learning or data science. And I was thinking about, how technology could make lives of people easier, faster, or cheaper. And once I met a friend of mine, and he's a language teacher, and he was, back in the days, it was 2015, he was not a native digital, how shall I put it? He was not digitally native. Mm-hmm. And he had a smartphone, but he didn't have a laptop. Nor did he have a website. And once he came to me and he said, look, Sasha, I really need more clients. I would like to give them lessons. And he was teaching, I believe, 7 different languages. And he said, hey, Sasha, please help me. So many people in the world who possibly would need my languages, my lessons. And I told him, look, you should give me your website and I'm happy to distribute it. And then he said, yes, but I don't have one. And then that made me think, and I said, well, that's no problem at all. We will build you one. I have, a team of computer scientists. So what it takes to build a website, for computer scientists, nothing. So I asked one of my interns to do so, and she did. And 1 month later, he came back to me again, and he said, hey, Sasha, I put a stack of my business cards on your deck. Could you please help me to distribute them? Because I really, really need new clients. And then I told him, look, I know we built your beautiful website. I've seen it and it's perfect. And, you should be having clients by now. And he said, yeah, but nobody calls me. And he points me at his phone and straight into my face. And this was this aha moment when I thought, oh, wow, okay, it's not just enough to have a website. You also have to advertise it. And back in the days, obviously, where do you go? I thought, okay, you should advertise your website on Facebook and Google. And then before I told him that, I realized he will never go to Facebook and Google and figure out how it all works, just because he doesn't have time, doesn't have the knowledge or desire to learn all those things. So I thought, okay, this is the perfect example where technology can help. And my second thought was, how many people are out there who could really benefit from technology if they had a simple tool where they can go on the phone or on the laptop, they can go and tell in a few simple words about what they do, what their product or service is all about, how much money they have to advertise today, not, on a subscription basis or not like, thousands, but really small budgets. And there's not such a tool. They could go and really very quickly and easily create online presence for themselves. So people who are in the need for their product or services can very quickly and easily find them online. And this is how Nanos was created.
Nice. Absolutely love that. And I know there's a lot of people that are listening that are maybe just aware of, I guess the digital marketing and those aspects and all those pieces, but how often it changes and how much you have to stay abreast to it on top of not even, being a digital native. It can be really cumbersome for people to try to get their businesses and their names out there. So I love that you've been able to kind of create that easy button, so to speak, to help people be able to talk about and promote the products and services that they have without having to go to like Google University or Facebook University in order to make sure that it happens.
Absolutely. And in particular, there are lots of small business owners and flower shops and moms and pops who really don't compete with each other because they're located in the different cities. For instance, the flower shop in Munich does not compete with the flower shop in Zurich, but the two cities are very similar. They both, population speaks German language. The size of the cities, the income level is rather almost the same. So it's really easy to benefit, to bring the benefits from one small business owner to another, and to make sure that that our clients, Nanos clients, can benefit and not waste money on learnings in online advertisement when the data is already available.
Yeah, absolutely. You just kind of bridge that gap, so to speak, and allow people to be able to use it and leverage it and get, of course, into the I guess the websites and the digital formats by which people can find them. So I love that you've been able to kind of create that.
It is also lowering the entry barrier because it's very easy to be visible online if you have lots of budgets or maybe marketing agencies that takes care of all of your online presence. But really with smaller budgets, and if you don't have marketing knowledge or not time, because there are not so many people who are willing to learn what online marketing is all about. So this is where Nanos comes handy. It's to lower entry barrier into online marketing, which means online visibility, which means prosperity for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like these, obviously these platforms, when at least they started, it kind of seemed like they were lowering the, I guess, barrier to entry, but it seems like it's increased or it's built up again. So I love, again, that you've been able to kind of make that easier for everybody to be able to do that. And so I know you touched on it a little bit. Could you drill down a little bit deeper and tell us a little bit more on how Nanos works and how exactly you serve the clients you work with?
Mm-hmm. So we walk our users through a very simple and intuitive interface. We ask a few questions about what they do, what kind of products or services they provide. Then we ask them what they know about their audiences they would like to target. So what's their age, gender, which devices they use, mobile or desktop, which locations, which languages they speak. And then afterwards, based on all the information we received from our clients, we derive meaningful information to create initial set of keywords and interests. So keywords would go to Google and interests would go to Facebook. And this initial data set, then we will be targeting and placing the ads directly on Google and on Facebook. And then afterwards, we will optimize those without any human intervention. So we will know what already worked in the past for similar campaigns. Then we would optimize it daily to see what keywords, what interests don't work, what platforms don't work. We can turn off Google if we see Google is not performing really well for you today. So that makes it really, really unique, our value proposition for the clients. So we will never try to spend all their daily budget in full because they set up a daily budget for their campaigns, but we rather see which platform is performing for them better today, and then we reshuffle the budget accordingly. Same goes for keywords and interests. So these are probably the major values we provide to our users. First of all, that we collect all the information they have as they would be talking to a marketing agency. Then the second is we place those ads, we create those ads for them based also on information they provide, but they don't need to think much nowadays even about what to put in their ad, because it's also very difficult. If I ask you now to advertise your podcast and create an ad now in 5-10 minutes, would it's rather difficult to think really and to come up with something that is really appealing and to your audience, and also something that for sure is going to work. So what we do is we use AI to suggest meaningful titles and descriptions for the ads. And then based on the budget, based on the product niche, based on the industry, we suggest which platforms to advertise on. So if you don't have the knowledge how Google or Facebook exactly work, you can agree with our suggestions, or you can go ahead and do it on your own. Just say, okay, I want to start with all platforms Nanos support, which is currently Google, Facebook, and Instagram. And then we would adapt those ads based on restrictions and limitations of the platforms, and we would continuously optimize those ads for our clients.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And just because I always say, I think one of the big benefits of digital marketing and being able to get your name and your business out there is to be able to leverage the data. And I think it's a whole nother story to be able to understand how to synthesize, to understand, to know what ad copy or what title or text to use or what keywords, all that becomes a whole different job within itself. So I love, again, that easy button and the ability to be able to not just understand who a person's trying to target, but also understand the data and be able to kind of optimize it so that they can create and get those win-win opportunities.
More to say to that, yes, having that extraordinarily available data helps us to optimize the campaigns, but also what happens more often than not that we are not able to spend the whole budget in full, so we actually return the money back to our clients just because we were optimizing it to the oblivion.
Yeah, it was optimized so well that it ended up creating an
Exactly,
even
yeah,
better
didn't spend the
situation.
budget.
Nice.
So we receive that a lot from our clients. They're like, okay, you return me my money, so why?
Right.
Because it happens automatically. If we're not able to spend the budget in full, because usually they set up a specific time frame, they want to have the campaign running, and then they just receive the money back.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's definitely a great win-win-win-win for the clients that are
Absolutely.
able to kind of get that to happen. And so, what would you consider to be what I call your secret sauce? And this could be for you personally or your business or a combination of both. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
I would say with Nanos, it was from the day one, from the very beginning, is the team. So I'm a firm believer that nothing on earth can be built alone. It always takes, more than one person to plant a tree, to raise a child, and so on, or build a house. And so I would say without Nanos team, obviously, this would not have been possible to build such a complex, very rich on the back end extraordinary tool that is so simple, but like one famous person said, if I had more time, I would have written a short letter. It's the same, if you want to make something really, really simple, it takes a lot of time and a lot of iterations. So I would say Nano's team had made this to perfection. So over the course of 2.5 years, we really, really nailed it. And I would say without Nano's team, would not have been possible to help so many businesses around the world.
Nice. I absolutely love that. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that was the whole spirit of this podcast as well, too. If we had more time, we would have written a shorter letter. So the whole idea and the concept is how can you really make it simple, effective, so that your clients or the people that are listening or reading or doing those things are able to get the impact that you hope to have. And it takes more work often to create that shorter letter or create that more simple technology like you all have been able to do. So I definitely appreciate you for being able to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, everything, I'm a big fan of simplicity. And also what helped a lot was my, I would say, disagreements with high cost of online advertisement. Because, when I've been in the shoes of a small business owner, and, there's so many bills. Once you start a business, there's so many bills that arrive. And sometimes it feels like it spirals up and goes out of control because you have to pay for so many things you didn't expect that are so costly. And it's always more than you have expected. And it's, things cost more also in online marketing. So that's why we always ask our clients, okay, what's the maximum amount you're prepared to spend? And we would never go over that amount. And I would say that is also something very personal because I'm personally allergic to bills. I don't like to receive them. I don't like to pay them, but I have to, like everybody else. So this is something that also driven my energy and my incentive to make Nanos, is helping people like me who are also allergic to bills.
Yeah, absolutely. You have that opportunity to build that better mousetrap, and those people that might be shaking their head as being allergic to bills as well too now get to bear the fruits of all the hard work your team has put in. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
This is it's very, very good question. I call my secret is as a 3-leg strategy, because what I learned a lot. I mean, my professional career, used to work in a corporate research for 7 years, leading an innovation team in one of the largest entertainment companies in the world, and switching to entrepreneurial life and, becoming a startup or a CEO and building a company from scratch. And really, I can relay and say that almost every day you have to deal with stress, and there's a lot of stress, and it really doesn't matter. I maybe even had more stress when I was working in a large corporation than I actually have now, because now I have a little bit more control and I can predict a little bit more things, because in corporate life it's you know, you never know what you have to do tomorrow just because the company strategy has changed, you know, and you were not asked before. So I would say dealing with stress is one of the key points, I believe, for professional to succeed. And you can be somewhere in 6 months, you can be somewhere in 3 months, and dealing with stress actually can really slow you down. So what I found, and I developed it for myself, and I'm happy to share also with all the listeners of your podcast, is the 3-leg strategies. How do you deal with stress? The key point, and I'll try to say it very simple because I'm a big fan of simplicity, is you have to stand on 3 legs, because this way you are the most stable. And the first leg is your work, your professional life. So you have to really be loving what you're doing. The second leg is your family. So you have to really have a really best backup you could ever imagine. And, you know, you have to have a partner or whatever makes you happy. If you're happy alone, that also, but you should be happy in your private life as well. And the third leg is your hobby. Your personal hobbies is not related to your professional activities. It's not related to any of your family members. It's something you really like to do personally that makes you happy. And if you have all these 3 legs functioning, if you have them present and functioning, it works really well, because when the stress comes, then one of these legs really help the others. And if you have stress comes at work, then you can pull yourself out of it through your hobby or through your family. If stress comes in the family environment, then you can pull out pull yourself back on track through your work or your hobby. And this is something that is I found had been really helpful for myself throughout, I would say, last 15, 20 years.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I think that when you have that holistic look at your life, and you're not so, I guess, dependent on one rung, when, wind blows or when things happen, which they always will happen, you don't completely topple over, because you have those 3 legs. And not only are they interdependent, but they allow you that opportunity to kind of lean on one maybe more than the other when one gets weaker, or vice versa. So I think when you think about it in those 3 different aspects, I absolutely love that hack, because it allows us to be complete as individuals and humans, which I think we often forget when we're talking about business.
Absolutely. If you're standing only one leg, and if you're super passionate about what you do professionally, it still really pays off if you also take care of your family matters and also find some time on the hobby. Because if you just rely on one leg for too long of a period of time, things could happen that you don't want to happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leg starts to wear down as well too. So you want to make sure that you're being as balanced, or codependent might be a better term to say. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. And this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
I would say maybe a piece of advice to so many other businessmen and women and professionals out there. I'm a very impatient as a person myself, and taking life, and I'm super passionate about what I do as well. And sometimes I'm actually, more often than not, I'm very frustrated with things going really, really slow. But what I learned throughout my professional life, is it's really important to take small steps. You can really, and sometimes you don't even see the progress, because by taking these small steps, you really think, okay, I'm really just still not moving anywhere, and things take so much time. But it really doesn't make sense to take radical decisions and try to force things if they're just not happening, or they're not quite there yet. This really helps. What also helps a lot is to think of where you want to be, of any of the goals you want to achieve professionally, privately, as key frames. So you are where you are right now. You have to try to imagine where you want to be, let's say in 1 year. So that's the next keyframe, and then next one maybe in another year. So think of these keyframes and then do small steps. I call them in-betweening. So fill this in-between frames. This was actually a definition that was used by Pixar animators. So they would have very mature professional animators to put together the keyframes for animation movie, and then interns would be doing the in-between frames. So if they wanted to have a bunny to move from one side of the room to the door, then they would put these two keyframes, the first one and the last one, and then everything in between would be filled by an intern. So I would say do these small steps. This has really helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you, giving that visual that you dealt with at Disney, because I think so many times we sometimes get so obsessed with, the keyframe, the 1 year or the 5 years or whatever that might be, wherever we want to be, that we forget all those kind of nuances that go into that. And I think if you're really passionate or you really love what you're doing, especially too, you really want to see that come to fruition as soon as possible, if not yesterday. But understanding and we're kind of respecting the process, understanding each of the different nuances, each of the colors or steps that the bunny might need to take is so important, because when we're trying to reach goals, especially ambitious goals, it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. So we kind of have to take a breath as much as possible and enjoy the process, enjoy the ride, but still continue to have that same fire, gusto, and appreciation for what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And so now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Sasha, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Very good question. I would say being a good CEO is something that probably is not very intuitive for somebody who is just starting out. And it wasn't the same for me. But when you're switching from a corporate career to become a soloist, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you assume that everybody else is having the same passion for what you do and for your business as you do. So you assume that they would put the same amount of hours or over hours that you do, that they would work with the same passion. But in fact, you cannot expect this from people, because if they would have the same attitude as you do, they would be also entrepreneurs and they will not be employees of your startup. So I would say this is the most important one, is to remember that it's not people that work for you, it's actually you work for people. But again, this is not super intuitive. It only comes with time, this understanding.
Yeah, it's so funny being able to kind of step outside yourself. You realize you're so excited about everything you're doing and you want to continue to work at it. But we have to understand that that's not always the perspective that everybody that's on our team are always looking from. And to be able to kind of understand that, especially as a leader, allows us to kind of get in the frame of understanding that we're serving the clients that we're working with, and however we can, I guess, bottle up that passion and zeal that we have to distribute that to our teammates, but also our clients, allows us to really increase the likelihood of being successful.
Exactly. And I feel your responsibility as a leader or as a CEO is to put together the ecosystem and the environment that takes the best from the people. So if your team who are working with you, they know you could have a better conditions for them be working together, then they would probably not be trusting you as much if they know you do your best and you really go through all the limits to make sure that they feel to their best, and that it serves best to their capacities and capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing. Being able to kind of create that environment to create those win-win scenarios is so huge. And Sasha, truly appreciate that definition. And I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Sorry, I missed what was the question. I had a connection dip.
No worries.
There was no question.
No, okay. Well, I was asking if there's anything additional you want to let our readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Yeah, if you want to hear more about my thoughts on leadership and what's it like to be a CEO, Please go check out my LinkedIn profile. This is the platform I'm most active on. Also, check out NANOS.AI, the company we have created together with my former Disney research alumni 2 years ago, which brings online advertisement available to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Sasha. I appreciate it. We will have the links and information in the show notes, but I definitely appreciate you and your team for creating that easy button to make it easier for these small to medium-sized business owners and really all people to be able to advertise and get their name out there. So I appreciate you again for taking some time out, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Grisham.